How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're looking at the news for World of Tanks console and what you can expect this next week. Obviously, we've got the new season coming in tomorrow, and we're just going to look over what's coming. They aren't releasing the Polish mediums tomorrow. I think it will be the following week or like later in the month. Give us a couple of weeks to grind out a crew, I guess. But yeah, we'll have a look at the news right now. So obviously we have the new season and the new season pass coming out. I expect that it'll be 2,000 gold and then obviously around 11,000 for the ultimate season pass for you to pick up if you want to get that. That will come with probably the CS52 lists as part of the premium like version of the battle pass. And then the one that I think everyone will get as part of the standard battle pass will be the T77, the tier 8 premium heavy tank with the autoloader, very similar to the T57 heavy, except at tier 8. So it's like that kind of version of a tank, just at tier 8. I think you probably will get the custom hero skin, but that will be available like this season's was on the tier 8 or the tier 9 and tier 10 where you had to earn it. So I expect that will be how you can get that. There'll be 3 new hero commanders, probably pick them up similar to the Action Heroes season that we did have with, you can pick up Chuck Norris and stuff like that, and Snake Plissken, and then, yeah, so I think that will be the same. And then we've got some quality of life fixes, so that's like, floating objects and stuff and getting stuck, bad spawns, bad collisions and just like the shell names and stuff like that. So it's just a variety of small little things that are going to be changed. They've given us some idea as to the map rotation testing too. We've got results so far have shown a greater spread of maps in matchmaking. So obviously, when you add 3 maps back into rotation at tier 8 to 10, then obviously there's going to be a greater spread. It's pretty obvious. Then we've got the chance of back-to-back games yet again being reduced, obviously, because there's more maps in rotation. And then they're looking at putting in tests where a set rotation happens every 4 minutes. So instead of it being like a random chance, it will be like Mines and Pilsen are on that 4-minute rotation. So if you sign into the battle, you'll be in that specific rotation where you'll get that map. And then, by the end of that rotation, you'll be in another one, so you won't get the same map twice in a row, or at least it will be significantly reduced. And they're actually looking at trying to match the tank weight, so that's obviously whether you've got 6 heavies on your team and they hopefully get 6 heavies on their team. So I find that sometimes it's like one team has 7 tank destroyers, the other team has 2 tank destroyers, and the rest are heavy, so it's just a bit unfair in terms of the way the tanks are composed on each team. There's a few things additionally that Wargaming have talked about. They've not really come up with any ETA. They basically just said that T77 has much better penetration, so although the DPM is pretty low, it actually has a better potential DPM because you're going to be penetrating more shots than a tank without the penetration. The reload feels appropriate for this much penetration, so they're basically saying the DPM's pretty terrible on this tank, and yeah, that's why the reload's so long, is because there's a lot better penetration. It also has the fastest interclip reload of 2 seconds, so you're going to be dealing 1,000 damage in 4 seconds, which is pretty good at tier 8. You're not going to really find that anywhere else. They've got the Polish medium line. The tier 10 gets that gas turbine boost, so you can press a button or you can change into the turbine mode and you'll be able to go faster, up to 70 kilometers an hour, I believe. So you're faster, but your gun becomes pretty much useless at that point. And then you have to swap back, but you have to be stationary to do that. So you have to stop, turn into the normal mode, and then you can fire at someone, because it's just that bad when you're on the move with the turbine boost mode activated. They're also looking into the commander warning before entering the battle, so I know that's been a problem for a while. I've gone into so many games without a commander, it's really frustrating, and I'm hoping that they're looking at actually tweaking the way that you can change commanders. Hopefully it will just be like the old system where you can just go on the tank and they'll have a section where you can swap the commander to the tank that you're currently looking at, rather than having to go to a different section and then do all of that jazz, since it's just very long-winded and it was much easier previously. looking at tank to statistics is also being reviewed, so they're going to try and bring back some of the statistics. I don't know why they removed them. I thought it was pretty pointless, not being able to see pretty vital information, such as aim time and stuff like that is laughable, to be honest. But yeah, that's being reviewed and will probably return soon, is what they've said. Looking at premium tech trees, so they're trying to make it look nicer. We'll get a screenshot next week, so when this video comes up, it should be on Friday. I believe Minto has said that they will actually get a screenshot of what that will look like. I expect that might come in next week, since usually they give out information the Friday before and then it comes in on the Tuesday following. Damage and RNG changes were also talked about, so you'll actually find that the penetration has minus 10% RNG and then plus 25%, so you're more likely to high roll on penetration than low roll now. And also the reason why everyone's been having such reduced damage is that the damage RNG is actually minus 25% and plus 15%, which means that you're more likely to low roll on penetration. So the average damage statistic in the garage is actually just a lie, because the average damage is actually minus 5% from what it actually is. It's just a lie. I don't get, if it's the average, then it should be the average, minus 25%. You might as well just nerf the alpha damage on every single gun and give them all higher penetration. I don't really understand what's the point in doing this and then giving you an average damage if you never actually roll for, say, 400, for example. Yeah, just absolutely bonkers. I'd love to actually see why that's actually happened, and that's what Minto's looking into. Also got work on mercenary contracts, and they should be coming soon. I'm really hoping that these aren't just overpowered tanks again, because it really does mess up everything in the game. I know that a lot of people left after the mercenaries came in. I mean, the machine, for example, it's just laughable, but we won't talk about that. They're just basically looking into more contracts, and I'm hoping that they bring out some better ones and stop just making one weakness on a tank and then making the rest of the tank absolutely fantastic, because that's really, really annoying. Previously in the past they used to have premium tanks that used to have one really good thing about them and the rest was pretty average or bad. Look at the CDC, for example. It's got a good gun, and it's fast, but everything else about it is pretty terrible. Firing on the move is terrible. Its armor's terrible. And then you look at something like a Barask. It's fast, it can fire on the move, it gets an autoloader. What's the point in playing the CDC anymore? It gets more alpha as well. It's just gone a bit too far in terms of power creep on the premium tanks, from my personal opinion. But obviously, it's nice to see good tanks come in. You don't want to buy a tank that's terrible, and from a business standpoint you want to give something that customers are going to buy. They're not going to buy a CDC at this point in the game when you've got things like defenders and stuff at the same tier, Barasks at the same tier. So I think being wary of that is good as well, though. And then they're looking at rank battles and bringing back rank battles, they're looking for it to either be its own game mode or part of random battles, as part of a limited time event. So I think personally I don't really want to see that as part of the random battles, to be honest. I think it should be a separate game mode like it was previously. Don't really want to be tryharding my arse off every single game for 2 weeks. I don't really want that personally. And I certainly don't think it would be fun for everyone else. I think you should be able to choose that. And then we've got finally the streams. Monday insider information. We've got that at 8 o'clock GMT, which is, sort that out into whatever time zone you're in. And then we've got also an information or International Women's Day stream at 9 o'clock. So they're both going on for an hour, I expect. Then we've got Tuesday's update rundown. So tomorrow at 8 o'clock we'll have just a kind of a lowdown on what happened during the update. And then on Friday there's a community update with Pain God at 8 o'clock GMT. So yeah, you can all check that out as and when you feel like. It's all on What Consoles Twitch, which you can get by just typing in What Consoles Twitch on Google and then doing that at the time that you want to have a look at it. And then finally, we've got a few different articles that they've released today. We've got an on-track event coming in tomorrow for the T110 E3. Pretty terrible tank destroyer. I wouldn't really recommend anyone grinding it out. Yes, it's got good frontal armor, but it's pretty terrible. Yeah, it's definitely not the tier 10 TD from the American line I'd want. Certainly the E4 is just better. The armor on the E3 doesn't really stand up like it used to. Premium rounds just go straight through the front of it. The lower plate is no longer actually good. It can bounce shots certainly, but it doesn't really hold up against people that fire premium. And that's the same as most tanks, but when your whole thing is that frontally people shouldn't be able to pen you, then it's not going to be particularly very fun for you at all. What comes with this then? You get 25% XP bonus, and you get a silver discount on the tanks in the line. So between tiers 3 to 6 you'll be able to get 50% discount on the tanks, so they'll be half price to actually buy with silver. And then from tier 7 to tier 10 you'll get a 30% discount on the silver price of the tank. Yeah, do I think you should just jump on this event and get the tier 10? No, not really. I think, if you haven't got very many tier 10s, then definitely don't pick this one as your next one. There's plenty of better options to go for, and you only get 25% better XP. I'm currently down the line at the moment, but I definitely wouldn't recommend doing it for anyone if you want to keep your sanity on this game. Moving on, we have the tanks in history. It's basically just a rundown of some female characters not characters, but actual people that were in the Second World War and all of that jazz in terms of what they actually managed to do in the war, and just like looking at that. I won't go through it all, but if you want to check that out, then definitely go and check it out on the Wargaming website. It just gives you some history as to females who really did make a difference in the war, and with respect to the USSR or the Red Army. And then we've got the final thing, which is a earn operation, or not an earn operation, but an XP earn operation, where you'll just get plus 25% XP when you assist in 250 or more damage in a battle. So yeah, not particularly hard if you're in a light tank, a medium, or a heavy, or pretty much any tank in the game, as long as you track one tank in the game, at the higher tiers anyway. Probably looking at tier 6 that might be a bit more difficult, but if you're in the high tiers you should be absolutely fine. That will run for 1 week, and yes, just an extra XP boost for those of you who are looking to grind any tech tree tanks. Other than that, I think that's everything for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed the news. If you want any more information, then leave some questions down in the comment section below, and I'll try and answer them for you. But I hope you do have a good rest of your day. If you want to check out some more content that I've got a few on channel. You can look at those on screen right now. There should be a few. There should also be some cards on the video if you want to look at some other stuff. But other than that, I'd like to see your opinions on this week's news and this week's season, what you think about it, and all of that jazz. But other than that, I hope you have a good rest of the day once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.